What if the only thing standing between you and the life you desire isn't reality, but your inability to feel it as real? Right now, before anything changes on the outside, there is a quiet power within you waiting to be activated. You don't need more proof, more time, or more permission. You need a shift in feeling. Because the moment you learn to embody the emotion of your desire, even before you believe it, you step into a version of yourself that reality has no choice but to follow. And tonight, that shift begins. Good evening, my friends. I want you to do something with me right now. Not later, not after you've had time to think about whether you agree with me. Right now. Just close your eyes for a moment. Go ahead, trust me. Think back to a time when things completely fell apart. Maybe a door closed on you, a relationship ended, a plan failed, or a dream slipped away. Hold that moment in your mind. Now here's the important part. Think about what followed that experience. What opened up because something else ended? Who did you become because things didn't go the way you expected? Where did life take you because you couldn't stay where you were? Just sit with that for a second. For most of you, there's something there. A quiet realization that what once felt like a painful loss or even a disaster turned out to be one of the most meaningful turning points in your life. You may not have seen it then, but you can see it now. Go ahead, open your eyes. What you just experienced, that recognition, that ability to trust in hindsight, that's the entire message I want to share with you tonight. And here's the real question. What if you didn't have to wait until later to feel that kind of trust? What if you could live with that same certainty right now, even while things are still unclear? Not hope, not blind optimism, not pretending, but a deep, steady knowing that everything, without exception, is unfolding in your favor. I'm here to tell you this is not imagination or wishful thinking. It's a law, and you have access to it in this very moment. Let me be clear about what this is not. This is not about repeating positive phrases to make yourself feel better. It's not about forcing a smile while ignoring your struggles. And it's definitely not about denying reality. That's not what we're doing here. This goes deeper than that. This is about understanding how reality actually works at its core. Beneath what you see, beneath what your senses are telling you, beneath the circumstances that look so solid and real, there is a principle at work. And that principle is simple. What you consistently assume to be true eventually becomes your reality. Not sometimes, not only when conditions are perfect, always. Your awareness is always creating. In this very moment, whatever you deeply believe about yourself, about life, about what is possible for you, that belief is shaping your experience. So the real question is not whether you are creating. You already are. The question is, what are you creating from? For many people, even those who are thoughtful, intelligent, and genuinely trying to grow, there's a quiet inner pattern running in the background. A subtle voice that says things like, I don't know if this will work, or things usually don't go my way, or I have to struggle for everything. This isn't something they chose consciously. It's something that built up over time through experiences, disappointments, and repeated outcomes until it became automatic. And because that assumption is sitting underneath everything, it's the one that produces results, not the surface level desires, but the deeper belief beneath them. Now let's talk about where most people struggle. It's not during moments of inspiration. It's not when they're visualizing or affirming. It's when they step back into daily life and nothing seems to have changed. The same bank balance is there, the same silence from the phone, the same physical sensations in the body. In those moments, something inside pushes back and says, look at this. How can you believe everything is working out when this is what you're facing? And that's the real challenge. Here's what you need to understand. Your senses are not lying to you, but they are delayed. What you're seeing right now is not a reflection of your current state of mind. It's the result of past thoughts and beliefs finally showing up in physical form. What's in front of you is old. Think of it like looking at a star in the night sky. The light you see left that star thousands of years ago. You're not seeing it as it is now. You're seeing what it used to be. In fact, that star might not even exist anymore. You're witnessing history, not the present. Your life works the same way. What you're experiencing now is the outcome of previous assumptions reaching visibility. If you let what you see today control what you believe today, You end up repeating the same cycle. The past keeps recreating itself. To change that pattern, you have to be willing to hold on to a new assumption before there's any visible proof. Not because you're ignoring reality, but because you understand how it forms. The inner state always comes first. The outer world follows. If you want something different to show up, you have to become different within first, and stay there long enough for it to take shape. This is what real faith is. It's not feeling certain when everything is going well. That's easy. Real faith is holding your inner position steady when everything around you seems to contradict it. It's staying rooted in what you know internally, even when the outside world hasn't caught up yet. That is the real power of this idea. It stands firm even when everything around you seems to say the opposite. That's exactly why it can completely transform your life. Let me share a story. I once knew a man who lived with a constant sense of unease. Not intense fear, not the kind that stops you in your tracks, but a quiet, ongoing tension, a subtle expectation that something would go wrong sooner or later. Every small inconvenience seemed to confirm it. A delay wasn't just a delay, it felt like a warning. Even ordinary situations, the kind most people would ignore, he treated as signs that trouble was coming. And life, as it always does, reflected that back to him. His car would fail at the worst possible time. His body began to mirror his stress through physical symptoms that kept getting more specific. His relationships lacked warmth because he never fully allowed himself to experience real happiness. It wasn't bad luck, and it wasn't some curse. As I gently explained to him, he had simply become deeply committed to the belief that things go wrong. Over time, he had trained himself to expect problems so consistently that he became incredibly skilled at it. You could say he mastered the art of anticipating the worst. And the law, neutral, precise, and always responding, gave him exactly what matched that inner state. So I asked him to try something simple for 30 days. Not to fake happiness or ignore his worries, but to introduce one new thought into his daily life. Just one sentence. Everything is always working out for me. Not as wishful thinking, but as a statement he was willing to explore as truth. He began repeating it quietly, without forcing anything. The first week, nothing on the outside really changed, but inside something started to shift. The old feelings of worry still showed up, but they didn't feel as heavy. When something inconvenient happened, a new thought would appear alongside the old one. It was soft at first, almost unsure, but it was there. Maybe this is still part of things working out. By the third week, changes began to appear. Not suddenly or dramatically, but naturally, almost as if life was adjusting itself from multiple directions at once. Opportunities came in unexpected ways. A conversation he had been worried about turned out to bring exactly what he needed. His health began improving without any clear reason. At the end of the month, he said something I'll never forget. He told me, "I don't know if I actually changed my life, or if I just started seeing it differently." And I told him the truth. Those two things are the same. Now let's go deeper, because I want this to be something you can actually use, starting today. Living with the belief that everything is working in your favor isn't about making one big decision. It's built through small, quiet moments throughout your day, the moments no one else sees. It shows up when you're stuck in traffic and running late. Most people immediately feel frustration. They tell themselves, "Of course this would happen to me," and that thought reinforces the pattern. Before the day even really begins, they've already placed themselves in a defeated state. But the practice looks different. In that same moment, you choose a new perspective. You remind yourself, "I may not understand this yet, but it's still working out for me." Not in a forced way, but with genuine openness. You begin to wonder, is this delay protecting me from something? Is it guiding me somewhere better? Is it creating space for something I can't yet see? This isn't about being naive. It's about recognizing something deeper. Every detour you've ever experienced eventually made sense. Every setback revealed its purpose over time. The only difference is that before, you waited to understand it. Now, you choose to trust it in the moment. It's realizing that life has never truly left you behind. Every closed door has always led to another opening. What once felt like failure eventually turned into something meaningful. So ask yourself honestly, what would it feel like to live from that understanding right now, instead of waiting until later? That question, when you really sit with it, begins to shift your entire state of being. There's a line that has been repeated for centuries. According to your faith, it is done unto you. Most people treat it as motivation, as encouragement to believe more. But it's not encouragement, it's a direct explanation of how life works. It's saying that your reality forms based on your inner conviction, your dominant belief, the state you consistently live in, not the one you wish you had, but the one you actually occupy. And notice the wording. It doesn't say it might happen or that it will happen someday. It says it is already done, right now. The same applies to another teaching. When you pray, believe that you have already received, and it will come to you. Not that you will receive it later, but that it is already yours. That shift in perspective is everything, because the moment you feel as though it's already done, you remove the distance between where you are and what you desire. You stop chasing and you start embodying. And from that place, reality begins to reorganize itself around you. And the moment your desire becomes real, it takes away the idea of waiting completely. You step into the feeling that it is already done, already yours, already complete, and you stay there, not as something you're trying to do, but as who you are. This isn't complex or difficult to understand. It's actually very simple. You assume it's already yours. You live from that place, and then you allow life to reflect it back to you. Now, I know the question that naturally comes up: how? How do you truly feel that everything is working in your favor when what you see around you suggests the opposite? How do you make that belief feel real enough to actually change something inside you? You begin with something you already have, your memory. Earlier, you were asked to think about a moment when things went wrong, but later turned out to be meaningful or even necessary. You found something. And when you realized that it eventually worked out, that feeling wasn't just a thought. It was something you felt in your body. There's a certain softness to it, a sense of relief, maybe a warmth in your chest or a release of tension in your shoulders. That feeling is important. That's your starting point. Close your eyes again and go back to that feeling. Let yourself sit in it for a few seconds. Notice how your body responds when you remember that everything, in the end, came together. Your breathing slows, your face relaxes, there's less pressure. Now take that same feeling and expand it. Don't keep it tied only to the past. Bring it into the present moment. Let it include the situation you're dealing with right now, the thing you're unsure about, the outcome you're waiting for, the part of your life that feels unresolved. And gently say to yourself, with that same calm feeling, this is working out for me too. You don't have to force it. Just notice if there's even a small sense that it could be true. Even the tiniest shift matters. That small spark is enough. That's where it begins. Come back to it during your day, not by trying to fake a feeling, but by asking yourself simple questions. What if this really is working out? What would it feel like if I knew that for sure? And instead of searching for an answer, allow yourself to feel into that possibility. As you keep returning to it over time, that small spark starts to grow. It becomes more natural, more steady. Eventually, it turns into something that doesn't need effort anymore. It becomes part of you, like your name, like your face. Something you don't have to remind yourself of. You just know it. There's something important you need to understand about this state. It doesn't feel like excitement or hype. It's not loud or dramatic. It's actually very quiet. When you're truly grounded in the belief that everything is working out for you, you don't feel the need to convince yourself. You don't feel like you're trying hard to believe. You feel calm, still, settled. It's like finally putting something down that you've been carrying for too long. You're no longer constantly worrying about how things will turn out. You're not replaying worst-case scenarios in your mind. You're not checking for signs or proof every few minutes. You're not chasing reassurance. You just know. And that knowing changes how you move through your day. The way you speak becomes calmer. Your energy feels more grounded. You're not reacting from fear anymore because something deeper in you feels stable. People around you can sense it, even if they can't explain it. There's a presence about you, a quiet confidence that doesn't come from achievement or success, but from an inner decision. It's the feeling of knowing that life is supporting you, not because you've seen all the evidence, but because you've chosen to believe it. And that choice, made again and again, held gently but consistently, begins to shape everything around you. And each morning, and every time your focus slips, you gently bring yourself back. Over time, it stops feeling like something you're trying to do. It becomes who you are. You become the kind of person for whom things naturally fall into place. And life, which always reflects back who you believe you are, begins to shift to match that identity. Now let's talk about the difficult moments, because they will come. This is not about promising a life with no challenges. That was never the message. There will be times, maybe you're already in one, where everything around you seems to contradict what you're trying to believe. Moments where the pain feels real, the loss feels heavy, and the fear is impossible to ignore. So what do you do then? You come back to your inner state, not by pretending everything is fine, and not by denying what you're feeling, but by choosing calmly and consistently not to let what you see control what you believe. You remind yourself, I don't fully understand this yet. I can't see how it's going to unfold. But I've lived enough to know that what once looked like the worst moments often carried something meaningful within them. And so, even here, you choose to stay grounded in the idea that this situation, too, is part of things working out. This is not weakness. This is strength in its purest form. To stay centered when everything is pulling you in the opposite direction. To hold on to your inner knowing when the outside world is telling a completely different story. This is the real test, not something meant to punish you, but something that shows you how deeply you've embraced this truth. It reveals whether this is just something you say occasionally, or something you truly live by. And every time you choose to return to that state, especially when it's hard, something inside you becomes stronger, more stable, more certain. That belief begins to settle into you in a way that can't easily be shaken. After enough of these moments, after enough times of coming back to that calm knowing despite what's happening around you, you'll wake up one ordinary day and realize something has changed. You're no longer trying to believe it, you simply know it. Everything is working out for you, not as an idea, not as a practice, but as something that feels real. So let me bring you back to the question we started with. Think again about that time in your life when everything seemed to fall apart, but later made sense in a way you couldn't have predicted. Now look at your life today. Whatever feels uncertain, unfinished, or difficult, bring it into your awareness. And ask yourself, what if this too is part of something working out? What if the delay is actually protecting you? What if the door that closed is guiding you somewhere better? What if this empty space is making room for something you haven't even imagined yet? You don't need to figure it all out. You just need to stay open to the possibility. Let that question, what if this is working out, become something that quietly stays with you throughout your day. Not just when you remember, but as a steady presence in the background of your thoughts. Start now, not tomorrow, not when things improve, right now. Leave this moment with a clear decision, not a weak hope, but a real decision that life is on your side, that nothing is happening against you, that every step is part of something meaningful, even if you can't see it yet. Carry that into tomorrow morning, and when doubt shows up, and it will, don't fight it, just notice it, and gently return to your center. I drifted for a moment, but everything is still working out for me. Come back to that calm. Come back to that quiet certainty. Each time you do this, it becomes easier. Each day you begin from that place, it becomes more natural. And every time you hold on to it during a challenge, it becomes more solid within you. Until one day, it's no longer something you practice. It's simply who you are. Someone who expects things to fall into place. And from that place, from that steady belief held without force, life has no choice but to reflect it back to you. That's how this works. Not occasionally, but consistently. You are not just reacting to life. You are shaping it through what you assume to be true. And when you truly accept, deep within yourself, that everything is always working out for you, you're not just hoping for it, you're declaring it before it becomes visible. And life, which has always responded to you in perfect alignment with what you believe, will respond again. It always does, it always has, and it always will. Good evening, my friends. Walk forward with that knowing. This is Miller Labor. It was never about waiting for belief to arrive. It was about choosing the feeling first, and letting belief catch up. The moment you dare to feel it real, even in uncertainty, you step beyond limitation and into creation. Reality doesn't lead, you do, through the state you embody. So stop questioning if it's possible and start living as if it already is. Because the life you've been searching for has been waiting on one thing all along, you, deciding to feel it now.